2024 meeting of the Greenways Open Space Committee. I would like to call the meeting to order at 7:02, and could we all please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. So good to see everyone here today, this evening, and hopefully you had a nice July and August, and we're now back at it for September through November, and so we'll do that. But we've certainly been busy this summer also. I'll call the roll. Urbani?
Present.
Weeks? Here. Geist?
Here.
Phillips?
Here.
Shelton? Here. Robinson? Here. Bloetscher?
Last but not least, yes.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I'd like to add an item of trail maintenance.
Under discussion items?
Correct, it'd be item number 5.
Trail maintenance. Is there a second to the motion to add trail maintenance to our discussion item?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Weeks, I think. And any further discussion? All those in favor of that addition to the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. I also would like to add a discussion item, an agenda item, and this is an encroachment issue that we had recently, and so we want to talk generally about encroachments, period. So we have a lot of work, obviously, we're catching up on, but this just recently came, and Mr. Bloetscher, I think you're well aware of it. So that would be item number 6, and we promise to make these discussion items to the point short. Okay. Second?
I'll move to add.
Okay, move to add, okay.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bloetscher. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of this adding the encroachment item number 6, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Awesome. In your packet,
Wait a minute. Now we have to approve the
we have to
amended
approve the agenda, correct. I'm sorry, I always jump ahead, okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended. So moved by Ms. Urbani? Oh, Ms. Weeks?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Urbani. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Good. For those who are guests that are here, should be additional agenda items and minutes from the last couple of meetings, so help yourself, I'm sorry. And anytime you come to our meetings, generally there are, we have enough for the public. Okay, now, we would entertain, I think in your packet, we had a meeting, some of you were absent. Mr. Geist was on his whirlwind tour of the West, and I know Ms. Shelton had some other issues, but the last time we met, this was in the end of July, we had a special meeting to approve the expenditure of funds for the Eagle Scout project, which we will hear about in a few minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the July 30th special meeting.
So moved.
Moved
Support.
Okay, support. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of approval of the July 30th minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? Our next order of business is approval of the June 4th meeting, our last meeting of the year, a regular meeting. Also in there. So if we had a chance to, and thank you again, Mr. Geist, for doing a great job as the secretary and completing those minutes. If you need a minute or two to look over the meeting minutes of June 4th, if there's any additions or deletions.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Bloetscher,
Second.
approved by Ms. Urbani. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval of the meeting minutes from June 4th, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Good, thank you. Well, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our Eagle Scout, Enzo Bonomo, and have him do his presentation for the completion of his Eagle Scout project. And I certainly know that he's already come before the Township Board and has made this, but I wanted, at least I asked the family if they would come, and Enzo if he would come and do his presentation for our Greenways open space. So Enzo, I can turn it over to you and we can go from there.
Thank you. So this is the results of my Eagle Scout project that you guys all helped fund and approved of. So let me get this set up. So we had to change a couple things before we went with the project. We had to move the location a little bit from where it was. It was a little in the woods, and then we moved it a little more towards the field, a little closer, so it'd be easier to access. And then the GoFundMe campaign raised $2,010 from the citizens of Grosseille and friends and family, so that was really great. And thank you to everyone who helped fund the project. So during the build day, before the build day, we worked to clean out the invasive Phragmites population that was living on the property. And then after that, during the build day, we had a lot of volunteers, including Boy Scouts family, classmates, and other local citizens who were all helping. And we had 18 volunteers in all. And throughout the 8-hour day, we built the deck, we laid gravel and wood chips, and we attempted to drown out the Phragmites with tarps. So here are some photos of the build day. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun too. So the end result, we ended up with a 12 by 12 wooden deck built 10 feet from a very beautiful part of the canal. The wildlife is very easy to see. I don't know if you guys can see it. I know it's a YouTube link, but in the bottom right, there's a crane that was there, and there's a bunch of lily pads. It's a really pretty area. And it also just helps you see native species, helps you get a view of the native wildlife to the island, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. So, do I have any questions or anything?
So are those Phragmites on the far side of the canal?
Yeah, we had them. They're on both sides of the canal, but we couldn't clear out the far side. But we were able to clear out the side closest to Meridian.
I do know at one point we just had a question about, you raised like 2,000, and what were your total expenses, or how do you have a breakdown at all of like some of your total expenses?
Right now we're still working on the breakdown, unfortunately, but we're doing our best to get it as soon as possible. It's just been tough lately for me because I've been in football, so
Sure.
I haven't had a lot of time.
Okay. But you didn't spend the entire $2,000, is what I'm saying.
I don't believe we
No,
did.
I didn't believe so either, right.
And then this was the money we,
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
sorry.
Yes, okay.
Anything else?
Enzo, I wanted to comment that I thought you did an excellent job with the one question that came the other night from one of the board members who've been approached by several members of the community wanting to know about the vegetation that was being removed there. And I applaud the fact that you had made arrangements to identify and took the extra steps to preserve native species, cattails and things like that, and you removed the Phragmites, which is it's a Herculean effort, and I'm assuming you're going to be back the next 12 years to do the same thing because they don't quit.
Well,
12 years.
Year
Like,
after year, I think,
next
for
spring,
12
we-
years.
No, he's going to do it for each of the next 12 years.
Right,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll do my best to see if the scouts can maybe get some community service hours in the next couple of years, clearing those out.
I think it'd be
Absolutely.
wonderful. And thanks again. I had a wonderful opportunity to meet Mom and Dad again and your sister. And truly was a family project. And thank you, everybody, for your help. And your father was, your grandfather, your father was just really cool and brought a lot of key components to the project to make it come out as good as it did.
Right.
And that bench looks really good, Enzo.
It does.
It does.
Perfect
Pops.
spot for it.
It pops. Thank you.
Yeah, you got a question? Go ahead.
What did you use to get rid of the Phragmites? I just went fast in the presentation and the video. How did you get rid of just dig them up?
So what we did, we first had the city come by. It was Mr. Keim, I believe, came by, and he cleaned out as much as he could with a more like heavy duty kind of trimmer, and then after that we cleared it with just weed whackers, machetes, and we just got through the rest, and then we took a tarp and we covered up directly in front of the deck, and then we laid wood chips on top of that, and we were told that would be the best way to drown them out. So at least in front of the deck you'll still be able to get access to the water, you'll still be able to see it, and then the sides, we don't know about those, but for now it's gone.
No, I'm the representative for the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy on open space, and our stewardship chair, Peter France. Huh?
Peter Camp.
Cants.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Peter
He's been called worse, right?
Who's head of stewardship, has been working with Phragmites down at Hennepin Point, and they've put a lot of effort into getting rid of them this summer, and he would be a really good person to talk to if you have any other issues with it. Sorry, I got his name wrong. It's Kantz.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll have to look at that and
Okay.
see how the Phragmites grow back first
Yeah,
when we're
'cause
staining it.
They're stubborn.
They're
I know.
tough, right.
I know.
Just question that, as part of the money that was advanced to you was $1,500 refundable deposit for called Wayne County Performance. Where does that stand?
So we're hoping to try to use some of that. I'm not sure we'll be able to use all of it, just because it was offered, but we'll have to see about that because we don't know. It's not completely done yet. There are still expenses to be paid first.
Right. I can speak up to that to a degree. I know I talked to Derek Thiel even before you started the project, okay, and like two of the fees, if you would, that we are going to be non-refundable. I do believe at one point Wayne County was going to be waiving some of those fees, okay? So the $435 that we approved for fees that we were not going to recoup, whether or not that's happened, I haven't heard. And I think he was waiting on Wayne County to hear that too. Same too with the performance bond, if you would, the $1,500 that we certainly, I know, we've signed off from an Eagle Scout perspective, from this committee, we've done that. And, you can go there and you can see for yourself the performance of the effectiveness of the build and how you obviously were able to raise the money, you were able to marshal forces to make it happen, and it's a beautiful addition to the community. So, and again, where that stands, and Mr. Bloetscher, I don't know if you know anything about that or not, but again, last time I said they may reduce whatever that amount is, and that would be a benefit to us all in that regard. So, okay, good. Yes.
So on the 1,500, Enzo raised $2,000 directly to GoFundMe.
Right.
As far as I'm aware, I don't think we've ever.
No, I think this was between the Wayne County, one of their Office of Environmental Protection, and the township. Okay, so there was some discussion, and that's why we had that special meeting in the end of July. Okay, so we said first off, we know there were some fees that we had to pay in order to get the permits to make this happen, but then there was also going to be this performance bond that we would front, if you would, and then it would be at the completion of the project and as they inspect it and sign off on it, that would come back. So obviously that hasn't happened. So it has nothing, no, not with the overall construction. And I think that's just a matter of course that they want to hold us all accountable to, to make sure the job gets done and gets done right, so.
So the county has not done their final inspection
They have
yet?
not, no, to my knowledge, they have not.
Have they
Okay.
indicated when they might be scheduling it, or is it just
I can't
a
speak for-
typical county
I can't speak for the county.
someday?
I do know I'll just leave it with, is that good? Yeah, so any other questions for Enzo? But again, thank you so very much for coming to this evening, and thank you for your good efforts to make Grossville
Nice job.
a great place to live.
Thank you all for all the support I've gotten from this committee and stuff. It's been a lot of help. So thank you.
Okay.
We do know, like, when when you get your Eagle Scout step up, if you would, when you get that award, I know some members of the community would like to attend that and obviously be a part of that too.
Yeah, when we get a date, we'll let you guys
Let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Okay, okay, great. Good, thank you again. Okay, our next order of business is an action item. Approval of a date for Dump the Junk, and if you take a look at the date, it's going to be October 19th, perhaps, if we approve. I think originally we were looking at a September 14th date, but there were conflicts with the DPS and then conflicts with, our members on our committee and some of our volunteers. And I do know October 19th is not necessarily optimal either, but at least we were proposing that, at least from the DPS, whether or not that's a good date for us. Is there a motion to approve that October date, that we can set it in stone, that we will have our Dump the Junk, Find a Treasure, which is a very, very popular event on Grossville.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bloetscher,
Support.
support by Mr. Geist. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approval of the date for Dump the Junk, Find a Treasure on October 19th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good. So for those of you watching at home, tell your family, friends, loved one, get that before the football game or however you have to, arrange that. I do know Michigan plays Iowa that day and is away, so Mr. Kine will be available. So it's at Iowa, so that's good. I don't know who Michigan State plays that day. But needless to say, October 19th will be the date that we will have our Dump the Junk, Find a Treasure. We also, and we have tried in the past to do this, and we will continue to try to do this, we will make contact with Cass Community Services, as we have, to see if that date kind of jibes with their schedule. I do know St. James Episcopal Church will be having their rummage sale the first weekend of October. So this comes a couple weeks after that. But so there's generally been some mutual exchange of items for that too, okay, of treasures. But so we're going to try to coordinate that as best as we can. But mark your calendars. Good. Any other questions? So that passed. If you haven't already seen these, and these are obviously coveted, Roberta Urbani will stay after the meeting and autograph these for you if you'd like. But I certainly want to publicly commend Ms. Urbani for what a great job of going through all the properties, going through making the edits, changing the language through this and as an update. I think the last time we did it was 2019, so it's been like 5 years, and it's been needed. So there's been additions to certainly the open space program. There's been some clarification, I know, of that, but it's a question of both the Nature Conservancy and the Greenways Open Space Committee split the costs of this, so they've done that in that regard. Any other comment? But I just want to personally commend you for doing such a great job in keeping this.
Outstanding. Outstanding job.
Well, thank you.
it was a team effort with a lot of different people participating, and most of the folks here. I did note, though, that the next time it's updated, which somebody else will do, and they'll probably use AI, and it'll probably take them a couple hours. So this was almost, old-fashioned.
But also very good. I just have a question about how we want to distribute these. I mean, besides, in the past, we've generally, I know, Theresa, we generally mail these to, when we have new residents come to Grosse, we send them a packet of stuff, and this is certainly one of the inclusion items that's included. Do we also, is there any thought in the past, I know we put them out certainly like at Island Fest or any other event of that nature that we have.
There's usually a few copies kept downstairs,
Right.
somewhere in the lobby area and that.
May be there now, as all I know. Have you seen them, Mr. Bloetscher? Yeah, they are there. So there's, and on your way out, you want to make sure you get this. And again, it's updated and
Hot off the press.
hot off the press, yeah, literally. So it's good.
So good.
Okay. Didn't we pass them out at Kroger too, or we have a little thing there? I know at one point.
Right, yeah.
Pardon me, yeah,
Yeah,
so we
Cliff
may
would
do
take 'em
that
to
too.
Kroger,
So, cool.
In the post office, we
Schools?
could probably get them to,
Possibly, we can give,
Yeah, I could talk to Miss Rosso about putting them like in her room, like
right.
in the
Or-
environmental awareness.
Or your
Yeah.
environmental awareness class that you have and that, so, but we can also distribute them that way.
Yeah, go to school, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No.
well, they are online, on
They're
the
online, yes,
township
that's part of
website
my-
and also the conservancy
Right,
website.
but I mean, with the paper copy, sometimes people are out there and, how many times did we refer to this? Like, oh, yeah, so,
It's
good.
part of my
But
report.
we won't steal your thunder. Okay, anything else? But again, thank you, Roberta, for doing such a great job on that. This past, July, yes, it was, and maybe early August, you may have noticed, if you haven't, as you're driving around Grosse, there are some new open space signs. Some of the posts look a little rough, and we still need to address that, like we can clean them up. But one of the things that we did this past session of our open space committee was we had a project that we went out and we kind of analyzed all the signs that were in disrepair or in really bad shape. So we kind of tackled at least the 6 worst ones, okay, that we've had, or at least some of the worst ones. And so if you haven't already been past Marion Park, there is a brand new sign at Marion Park, which is off of Voight, okay, on the north end. There's also a new one, if you probably have noticed, at the trailhead here on Meridian Woods. And there's an update on that because we added the additional 30 acres that we had. And so that, and that was completed like in 2019. So there's 183 acres now in that section. There was one at Centennial Farm that was in disrepair and it was pretty illegible. Also, I think we made the choice before maybe they even were in the process of condemning it, the Playscape. We were looking at, it's like 13 acres. Where do we have 13 acres? We're looking at maps and that there's no 13 acres. Where is it? So finally, I drove past the Playscape. Oh, it's there. It was tucked behind a bunch of trees, so we were able to take care of that. And then there was another Meridian Woods, one right in front of the fire department. I don't know if you've seen that one. And then there's another one right across from Meridian Elementary. So as people are on the bike path or they're moving, they see open space. Not to take any thunder away from the Nature Conservancy sign that's there, but yes, so. So any further discussion about that? And we paid My Custom Signs, which are generally the sign company that we use pretty much, $3,277 for 6 signs, 4 posts, and installation, which I thought was comparatively pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that is.
Right.
Hey, just a note, for next time we look at signs, the park that Enzo has his
Oh.
platform at, is unidentified at this time, so we should put that high on the priority
We
list for
are
the
going
next step.
to, okay? And we are also maybe working on the language in like a smaller sign or plaque by the, the project itself. So not only, because we had question even before the meeting, where is it? Okay, so, it's hard to, you drive too fast, or go past it, you don't really realize where it's at. So we need some signage to direct people there. It might even be like scenic overlook or something, open space, or it would be something of that nature, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what's there. Like
Yeah,
I
it's-
had to ask.
Right, I know, you gotta ask, so sometimes, and I can tell you, it's first off, I was there yesterday, it's very beautiful, and I did see like a couple of deer run behind my car as I was leaving, so.
At least they were running behind your car, not
Yes.
into it, so.
Right, correct. Next maybe item we need to talk about is the outreach to the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy, the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee for a collaboration meeting. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I think we tried, Mr. Bloetscher, you want to talk a little bit about that?
We've tried that, and it's had several false starts. One, I think, was because of a death with one of the principals in the family, not that individual, but they, as I understand, were actually going out of the country. And with summer schedules, we couldn't find something that worked for everybody. So I would propose that we try and have something where we could sit down maybe the third week of September, either in one of the township offices or rooms, or even over at Centennial Farm or at the Jackson Center. And I'd like to extend an invitation to Brian Pollock and Bicycle Pedestrian, as well as certainly Conservancy. I'm not sure whether we go with Peter Kantz on that, or if we have somebody else that you'd prefer.
Paul Glore should be part of it.
I think Paul,
Right.
Paul was
Definitely.
Right.
would be the big, would be the main thing there. So I would like that, and would suggest also that we look at the rec commission and see if we can't get the chair there and
Right.
maybe the manager, and have them just sit down and talk about projects that we all have some expertise in that make sense.
What we have in common.
How
Right.
would the third week of September work? I'm thinking maybe a Saturday meeting if possible.
I'd have to look, but, right. I'm not adverse, here's the other thing, I'm not adverse, I mean, this committee is not so large,
Yeah.
okay, that all would be invited, so rather than just,
Whoever can make it, makes it, and
it
Yeah.
makes it, if not, that includes all of our members.
absolutely.
I don't think the,
That'd be nice.
I don't think the Conservancy would mind, nor would the
It's a
other
resource center.
other committees.
Yeah, I think that would be
Right.
good, and if my math is correct, it'd be sometime around the 15th of September. Does that look right?
Coming up,
That would be a Sunday.
okay.
Let's take a look at the calendar here.
You guys gonna be around? No. You guys are leaving.
Yeah, the third
Oh, that's a Sunday, the 15th.
Saturday, correct.
About the 14th.
About the 14th. That would be, that's 2 weeks, or the 21st.
Right.
14th would work better, I think.
14th.
Would you like me to contact those?
I think that would be good.
All right.
Chair to chair, that way. It has,
And I will include everyone here on this, and just propose it, okay? So whoever can make it. If not, we can't. And what we're trying to do is, obviously, we're trying not to step on each other's toes, but also, create a little synergy where we can all kind of work together and make things happen a little faster, okay? Or a little that we're not in conflict. We have, and there are certain projects
More
that,
information exchanged.
right,
'Cause
exactly.
Often the other doesn't know what the other one is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Although Paul Glore, the president of the Nature Center, not the Nature Center, but the Conservancy, sorry, stays on top a lot of what's going on here too, but not everyone else
Right.
does, so. Okay.
I know they all watch these meetings, so it's like, so.
I think it's been mentioned, but
Nature
because
Center,
we've been
doing
spending so
good.
much time trying to figure out to get everybody together and that if, let's just pick the date like we had established that. and then tell everybody it's gonna be, and if a particular chair or head of it can't make it, then have them send a designated
Delegate, right,
representative,
somebody
yeah, a
else.
delegate or,
Right.
and whatever members, so
No,
we're
I
not,
agree.
we're
No,
not
I
kicking
agree.
the can down the road.
No, exactly, because, last time we proposed this early on, then we don't do it. It's like, okay, wait, time marches on, so do certain projects that we want done. So any other question on that? So is the 14th sound amenable? I mean, this is just a matter of discussion, so it's not like we need an action item on it, but. So we'll try that, and I will get that out tomorrow and let you folks
Great.
know,
Great, that'll
Okay.
make Paul happy.
and we'll propose it, yes.
And I think, again, if whoever can make it is good, and if they can't, send a representative, but we'll just set a meeting date for 2 months after that.
Right, exactly.
And maybe try and meet every 2 months or quarterly, and can find out what we can do for each other and
Yep.
the
No, I agree.
synergy and resources that are available.
Very much. Good. Anything else on that? Next little discussion item is the designated parking areas for our trailways. And so now that we know about our trails and our other areas in open space, one of our goals for this committee is to like at least have for all of our trail areas designated areas for people to park, okay? Because not everybody has access by bike, not everybody has access by, can walk, 3 miles and then let's go on the trail. So we're looking at certainly that. So we're also, now that we're kind of like back in session, I'm certainly going to press the DPS in order to, like, if there's got to be some gravel laid down, or we have to, because I do know that they did that for our Eagle Scout project, and so we also know that we can get that done. And if DPS can't do it, then I think we also need to, move forward with somebody else that can. So that's not to say DPS, I'm being critical, but it's just like these things need to get done if we said we're going to do them. So any question about that? I can also tell you, I talked to Rob Ponder today as I was driving from Township Hall this morning, and I pulled him aside and I said, so when are we starting to get the pads for the benches areas? So we already have, we put a bench on the Eagle Scout project, okay, Enzo's project there on the deck, and we don't need a concrete pad for that. But at the Meridian Woods East River Connector, just yesterday I saw a family sitting there, and repeatedly I've seen people. So people are starting to use the benches, which is a good thing. The second one is over in the new ferry trail area, the ferry gauge trail, where we're looking to put a pad underneath the benches. The benches have already been deposited. It's just a question of we're going to have Rob Ponder from our DPS create concrete pads underneath those two areas, which we will pay for out of our maintenance fund. So just so you're aware, and we'll talk a little more about that. But
And
that's
the pads are the same size and kind that you'll see along Macomb Street and other areas
Right.
of the bicycle paths.
yes,
So
and they're not, but he said he's gonna, and maybe I just jumped him today. He's going to start tomorrow, but he would expect to have it done by the end of the week, and so I would like to see that. If that happens, we'll see.
Going back to the parking areas and that, I guess I would like to have first priority is the ferry trail lot along Ferry, because
Yeah.
that, the only other hard surface parking is on Gage, and so that gets into people's, yards and
Right.
that. And then the second priority would be the one on East River Road for the Meridian Woods. And that, those may
Right.
be the two
Right.
most,
Yeah, your point's well taken. The other thing you got to realize is that, so if and when they do something with the playscape, the open space area, behind the post office, there's already a designated area there. So we know that if, we're going to try to make more trails or a recreation area there, like working with the rec department or working with bicycle pedestrian, we're going to do something there. There's already a parking spot there. On the north end, off of Horse Mill, we know at the bird sanctuary, the wildlife sanctuary up there, we know that they can park on
Thoroughfare.
thoroughfare up there, so that's not a problem. So there's there are already designated areas, okay? But these two, as you're correct, Mr. Geist, the Ferry Trail and East River are the two primary ones I think that we're looking at. In addition to, I'm trying to think of any other large trails that we have.
I would like to focus on getting those two done this
Yeah, right.
this year,
Yeah,
this fall.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we
I
can-
said I agree.
Because we've been talking about this for about 3 years now.
Yes, I agree.
And then we can look at
Look at me. I was just-
then we can look at next year what would be the next logical place
Right.
to.
Which we will. So anything else on the designated parking areas? Next, maybe discussion, raise questions, guys, we're allowed. Trail maintenance, Mr. Bloetscher, you're,
Yes, and this is a nice segue from where we're talking about Meridian Woods. We, last year, had probably upwards of 100 yards of wood chips that were dropped when DTE was doing their latest cutting. And those were spread along the trail, but it was rather labor intensive, notwithstanding the fact that we had a front loader, but just the distances involved in dropping and then picking, scooping up and going in and dropping
Right.
again and trying to level that. So I talked to Keith Lehman. I've known Keith for a very long time, and suggested that maybe if he had any ideas about a different way of doing it. Keith indicated to me he was involved in the original chipping of the trail that runs along the Wildlife Center just east of Meridian, and then you go into right along the canal would be the easiest way to put it, north of Horse Mill, south of Bridge Road. Keith indicated that what he did with that was able to take and run the dump truck and dump the wood chips. And we do have a contract with Davy. I think that the chips, and I talked to Keith, I'd also like to talk to Mr. Cordes and Mr. Brower and see who else is local on Grosse that we could ask them for a price on dumping chips. And again, I would propose to go with what we did last year, and that was a foot deep, 10 feet wide. 10 feet is good space for the gator,
Right.
and you would also be able to get the dump truck in there, and once they drop, it's pretty much spread. And then we may have to do a little bit of maintenance after that to move it around, but I'd like to start that where we look at the trail now on the east end of Meridian Woods and get that bridge moved back there that we've had stored there. And weather seems to have been a problem as well as timetables, but now we're into September and the ground, notwithstanding the rain, is pretty hard, pretty dry. Grosse clay has a lot of cracks in it already, and I think it would be a good time to move forward on that. So I'd like to approach the three gentlemen I mentioned, Mr. Lehman, Mr. Cordes, Mr. Brower, and see if anybody else locally still is cutting trees, and see what they'd be willing to do, and if we could have it dumped and spread at the same time, probably cheaper than what we've been doing.
correct.
And I'd like to finish off that ferry, or the ferry gauge at some point from the north end, but I consider in terms of priorities, I think Ray is right. This would be a good project to have taken care of. We do have some chips that John Kime has dumped last year that go from basically the bridge and then winds around generally west and a little bit south, but I'd like to have the trail connected from East River all the way to the drain, get the bridge in place, and be done with this.
I hear you.
Does the township still have some significant wood chip piles over, I think, just west of the soccer fields?
Yeah, I don't know if they've been called for, what they're going to use, but the cost of loading and transporting.
I can certainly appreciate, the work that we want to get done, building trails and improving the open space. That's great. But we also have trails that we need to maintain that are already there.
Right.
And one in particular is through the Centennial Farm. There's a whole lot of new families with young kids off Manchester, and they are going through that field in which is all totally overgrown. You can't even see the trail anymore. And coming out with, you know, poison ivy and everything else that's overgrown.
We were talking about that, not.
So
last-
from a
after
priority
our last-
standpoint.
No, all right, I hear you.
I think that's higher priority than continuing to build land.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, I mean,
Is that the
sure,
one that's off of Manchester and
Yes.
connects to
Right.
where we were?
Right.
Beautiful. I'd love to be able to do that. That looks like that's only a couple of 100 feet anyway.
yeah, it's probably 400 feet to get back to the part that opens up to Centennial Farm, yeah.
I think so, yeah. That looked
Yeah.
good.
2 culverts and about 400 feet of chips.
Mhm. No, I hear you. I do know, I have been in, at least in conversation with Mr. Vollenweider, who are the bridge refurbishing project in the Meridian Woods. So if you come in off of Grosedale Park Lane, off of Manchester, and you head east, there's a bridge there that kind of traverses the ditch that's there, and has been there for, you know, quite some time. They approached us, and I believe the township board is also aware of this and, you know, approved it, that they're going to start on that. But that's a sole separate project. But again, that's something that's going to happen in terms of like very soon.
Did they indicate any time about when they expected to
I
start?
think like soon. Okay, other than I just talked to them like 2 days ago. So, but that was going to happen. I don't think
Well, part of the reason I bring that up is that to avoid any issues like we had with the Rubicon, that to let the township people know that
Oh,
somebody's
yeah.
going to be working back in the trail, so.
Right. So they don't call the police on, you
Right.
know, they see people in, you know, forestry gear, okay, and do that. Okay, so your point's well taken, Theresa, about the, taking care of that. So we should prioritize that, and will.
Well, it's heavily used. I would say it's used
No,
more than the
I-
other 2
than the other, I
trails.
agree, than that. And it's been, believe it or not, it's been there for a very long time.
It's interesting, until Bill took me over there, Teresa, I had no idea there was that kind of a connector between the two. I always had looked at the vacated property that was just to the west of your home
Right.
as that connector trail. And Bill said, no, I'm going to show
No,
you the real
that's-
one.
Right, and that's, needs to take care of.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great little spot that goes right back to the farm. So, I
Right.
mean,
And for those of you that
utilized a
don't know,
lot.
there's a connecting path that, you know, it's been there for 40 years that I'm aware of, okay, that moves from Manchester, goes to Centennial Farm, okay? And Daryl Filarski, rest his soul, was always, you know, talking about putting some culverts, and there's 2 areas that are low there, putting some culverts in, putting some wood chips there, and kind of maintaining that. So we need to get on that, and I will get on that. Any further discussion on that? All right. I received a text on Saturday from Paul Glure, who a resident had witnessed an encroachment on open space off of Voight Avenue, which is on the north end, very near the where we just put a brand new sign for Marion Park. Okay, and that some residents had been cutting down trees. They were new residents to the area. And so, Monday, okay, not Sunday, but on Monday, I paid them a visit and knocked on the door, and they were, first off, they were new. I think they're from Pennsylvania. They explained to me that their father, grandfather of the children, was trying to help since they've just moved in, and that he's from Malaysia, okay, was trying to help out and so he cleared the brush on the side of the house, but it also was on open space property, and so I think he took an axe to a couple of trees, and so that being the case, I explained to them why you can't do that, okay, number one, and number two, some of the consequences perhaps that could happen. One thing I did tell them is that I would go to the township today, which I did, and I talked to Margie Gape, who was as her wonderful self, and went through the plot map with Tim O'Donnell and identified exactly where their property line is and where other open space is also, and where the encroachment is. And so I'm going to deliver that to them tomorrow. I know the town, part of our procedure is that we send a letter, okay, you know, identifying that, hey, you've done something wrong here and you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. And they also then will send the enforcement officer to them, okay, and, you know, and obviously do an investigation of the damage. And if there is any, you know, any damage that are in terms of monetary damage or penalties or fines, then that will certainly be the case. But that's, but so from our standpoint, we, you know, as much as we are, you know, we're volunteers, we're not township officials per se, and are empowered to do that. But we now, so the process is moving forward, okay, and that's where that's at. So, and that's as of like 1 o'clock this afternoon. So
Great. Got on top of it.
Yes.
That's great.
And again, I just want to remind, and I guess we can all say this on behalf of this committee, you know, open space is our public lands and properties that, you know, that are preserved in perpetuity, and for the, you know, for the enjoyment and well-being of the residents of Grosse-Ile and visitors to Grosse-Ile. Okay, and it's a question of that we want to keep it that way. We want to maintain the beautiful 600 and some acres that we have, and that, you know, encroachment is wrong. Encroachment is illegal. You cannot do that. We certainly have township ordinances against that. So just please be aware that we, you know, and we understand the sanctity of property rights in America. Well, that also, you know, that also means public property. So.
And encroachments also includes things like dumping,
Oh, yeah.
be it trash or even yard waste.
Yard
and things
waste,
like
or,
that, too.
exactly, right. And one thing I can say, and I applaud the efforts of our citizens, they are vigilant when it comes to this kind of stuff. They let us know, or they let the Nature Conservancy, or they let the township know. And so that's one of the things, so we have a process in place so that we can kind of move forward. But the basic bottom line is, you know, let's keep Grosse-Ile clean, keep Grosse-Ile a wonderful place that it is. So.
Yeah, and well, it's such an important part, well, of educating the public and obviously new residents who don't know what, you know, what that means. And it's, you know, how do you let people know who are new, you know, maybe when Theresa sends out welcome letters or some way to keep it a little more current so people know more. And maybe having the new guide out will help, but there's an educational factor involved with this that I don't think, because I know a lot of people that have lived here forever and don't understand about open space.
Right.
And have barely heard of the Conservancy, and really are kind of, that really don't know what the whole mission is and the concepts are. So
Right.
I don't know what the solution is to that, but I think it's important somehow.
I indicated to the gentleman there, the grandfather, and we spoke for
Alicia.
probably about 10 minutes. And he had indicated that the trees that he was taking out were ones that he felt were leaning and in danger to property damage to the house. And I had indicated to him that he needed to contact the township. I gave him Derek's telephone number, the general number, and also to community development, and strongly hinted to him, said to him outright that he needed to be able to contact them before he did anything, because you can't take trees on somebody else's property
Cut them down.
and cut them down. And he showed me a little bit of a walk around in his backyard, and I said, as an example, you have a tree right here that's leaning over into your neighbor's yard. If your neighbor comes over there with a chainsaw and cuts it down, that's the same thing that you're doing here, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And so please don't do it. You've got an understanding now what's going on, so please don't do that. I want your visit here to be a happy and enjoyable one. And under the law, you look at treble damages for the value of the trees that are cut down. And I did not talk to him about that, but what I indicated very clearly was you can't go on to somebody else's property, even if it's the township's,
Oh.
and do that, as nobody else can come onto yours. And he seemed to support the idea that he, what he had done potentially was wrong. I didn't know where the property line was. I just drove up there, and you see a half a dozen stumps, and he was doing an awful lot of work with an axe.
Up there
which
tomorrow.
Right, I know.
It's wrong. So I have not been back there, but I know what was done, and if it continued on after that point, you do so at your own peril.
Earl. Good.
But yeah, I think he had a visit from a couple of people, and
Good.
hoping it was just a misunderstanding.
Right. Anything else on that one? All right. Well, our school liaison team is here. Thank you so much. Okay. And I know school, you had a half a day of school today. Okay. And hopefully you're well rested and you're ready to go. Anything you guys want to talk about, or anything you want to, any thoughts about going forward, or?
So earlier you talked about the sign replacements, and the ones that are still doing well are kind of dirty. So I was thinking about organizing a cleanup day, seeing what kind of volunteer support I could get from the NHS and other students,
Awesome.
just for possibly late October, maybe. Okay.
And your environmental awareness.
Wood chips.
Yeah, we got wood chip. We'll get wood chips. Your environmental awareness
And wood,
club.
bring shovels.
They have a new advisor.
It's Miss Rosso this year.
Okay,
Miss Rawson, yeah.
Miss Rosso, right? Dr. Julia Rosso. Yes. Yep.
Doctor.
So we should be in touch. ROSSOW, I believe.
I think at the, excuse me, at the June meeting, there was discussion of increasing our presence on social media and that. You guys have any thoughts on
Yes.
how
We
we
could
might go about
definitely start an Instagram and manage it, just post about goings on and like his project. We could definitely advertise there and everything.
Right. All right. So for those of you on Instagram, you can see, tune in and see what's going on with Greenways Open Space.
Is Alicia, explain to me a little bit more. Are you thinking of the environmental club being on Instagram? You or maybe just re-say what you just said, because I missed part of it as far as Instagram goes.
The going-ons of this
Eddie.
committee.
From the
yes.
open
Yes.
space.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Thanks.
Anything else, Kaitlyn? Got anything going on?
With the Instagram, we can also advertise the sign cleanups and stuff to get more people in.
And dump the junk and everything. Yep.
Right, okay. October 19th. Right, very good. We will meet, I will tell you, knowing that some of our members who are stalwart when it comes to dump junk, find a treasure, anyone, including Eagle Scouts, are invited to, on October 19th, Saturday, from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock, to help with dump the junk, find a treasure. So we generally have had good support from the schools and our school liaisons and that, so we encourage them. So however you can get the word out and let us know that, yeah, we can count on some people coming to help, that would be great. Makes,
One concept that may help in piquing some interest, at least with the seniors or family members who have college-age kids, is you see a lot of things that are useful if you're trying to get your own apartment started at the Find a Treasures. So I seen over our last island-wide yard sale, it was pretty comical to see a truckload of young gentlemen looked like they were on their way collecting things before they went off to college. So you can kind of do the same thing down at Dump to Junk. There is oftentimes furniture and dishware things that it would make it instead of a yard sale item that you would pay, $10-20 for. It's totally free. So it might pique their interest if they need any of that stuff.
Oh, that's great. That's good. Very good point. Anything else? Okay, Mr. Bloetscher, you have anything from the township?
Just two things, three things. Number one, I did talk to Township Manager Thiel about using the chips there with the dump truck, and he's indicated support for that. The second thing was Enzo did a very, very good job doing his presentation in front of the board. Set the bar pretty high there, young man, and there's going to be a lot of other projects that are going to follow, but it's going to be hard to improve on what you've done. And the third thing is I just want to remind everybody to vote on November 5. It's coming up. The ballots will be out at the end of the month for early voting and for absentee, but please take the time, study the issues, study the candidates, and most importantly, get out and vote and have your voice be heard. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mandy, anything from the Nature Conservancy?
Not much, just a little bit. We don't have a board meeting until next week, so it's there's not a lot to report. But I do want to say that this summer the stewardship committee with Peter Kantz, and they've all been really busy in the natural areas, especially at the Bruce Jones nature area at Meridian and Bridge. There's been signs and for labeling of the trees that some high school kids did down there, and they've been working on the trail, and the board, what's that called, the board that you go before you go in, what's that thing called? Anyway, that's been updated. And
Like a kiosk?
Huh?
A kiosk?
The kiosk, thank you. I should have written that down. And update on the kiosks, thanks, Bill. And a lot of work on the Hennepin Point properties with Phragmites and clearing that off, which is a thankless job. The Hennepin Point is, I don't know how they manage it, but it's looking a lot much better. Now the one issue that I was asked to bring to the board is that with the natural area guide, for everyone to know, it's on the Conservancy website, and link has been shared to social media sites. So if you don't have a paper copy, it's available on Grosse Ile Nature and LandConservancy.org. The natural areas book, which I was just using to look up the place where the encroachment happened, across from Hennepin. This is very handy to have. I bring it to all the meetings so that's available. And at the Conservancy, we got rid of all the old guides, all of them. We don't have any of the old ones. And the concern was that open space and the township also get rid of all the old guides. So there's, it's all new information, which the Conservancy had done, and we hope open space has done it as well. Also that we're concurrent with our information, and that we're both on the same page as to what's available, the same here as it is at the Resource Center on Macomb Street. And that kind of leads into what Carl was talking about, having the meeting on September 14th, to talk about these issues of things that we know, like we do it, the Conservancy does it, the open space does something, and then the Conservancy does something, so that we're all on the same page and we can help each other and support each other, because the open, I was a founder of the Conservancy, and one of our main, yeah, I know, I always have to get that in.
Oh, I know, that's
Although I
important.
don't think I have in a while.
That's important.
That, the Conservancy started in 1993, and open space started in 1996. I think I have those dates right. I should have refreshed them before I say anything. But the open space is an outcome or a result of the beginning of the Conservancy. So we're really linked. And over time, of course, you know, every group has its own priorities and its own mission, and they get a little protective of what their job is. And you know, we're hoping to cooperate more and work on the same page more often. So that's it.
Good. Okay. Amen. Amen.
Well, just a note, open space has been out of the old ones for quite some time.
Yes,
so.
I was going to say we've been trying to.
What did you say, Theresa? I'm sorry.
Open space has been out of the old flyers for quite some time.
Oh, okay.
We don't have old ones to give away because we've been
Okay.
for a long time. 'Cause-
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Which
Well,
brings
that was
us,
the
Theresa,
concern.
nice segue, and it brings us to welcome letters.
Well, with the new guides, they're putting the packets together. Unfortunately, I will not have the time to run them through the postal machine. So Margie Gabe has agreed to take
Awesome.
the box when I get them all together, and she'll run them through and get those out. So they should, in theory, go out sometime this month.
Awesome. Great.
Okay.
About how many packets are we?
Oh, we're talking
packets,
quite a
Theresa?
bit.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be since, well, roughly about a year. So you're talking 100 and something, probably.
And that's mainly the booklets,
Right.
It's a welcome letter and a booklet.
the booklets and,
And we had discussed if you wanted to have a welcome letter for
oh, okay.
the
Yeah, we can do
Conservancy or whatever you hand out. I would be happy to slip it in there. You just got to
Okay,
get
great.
it to me.
I'll take
but-
it to the board, we'll do,
Good.
yes, I'll
Yeah,
say
so
yes.
it'll probably be the next opportunity because, you know, I don't want to hold these up.
Okay,
Because they've been held up for a year. So
Okay.
on the next go around, if you can make that happen, I
Great.
got no problem slipping them in there.
Good.
Will
Thank
do.
you. Very good. This brings us to our public comment period, okay, where members of the audience are invited to make any kind of comments, and please limit your time to 3 minutes or less. Sure. Absolutely. Please state your name and address.
Well, Michelle Bartlett, 8949 Voight. And so, I don't know what's going on with my street lately. It's usually very quiet. We have had the firefighters out there, the police, they hit a group mailbox over, so I get it at the post office now. And then the other day, my husband came in and he said, "Man, there's a man out there with an axe going nuts." So thank you for addressing that. I really appreciate that. I just wanted to comment, it's just a coincidence on Enzo's project. I just came from the Grosville Nature and Land Conservancy, and we had that class. I know I'll
oh,
pronounce
yeah,
it
right,
wrong.
there was something tonight, right.
Ornitherapy, you know, watching birds, but it was funny because they were talking about like going and sitting on a bench like that helps reduce anxiety, stress, depression. You can use mindfulness, and just going and sitting out there for like a half an hour, listening to the birds and everything else, how much it relaxes you. And it's true, I just came back from vacation, I did that very thing, and it makes a difference right away. And so I just, you know, wanted to tell you there was actually a class on it, and what a good thing it is that you did. So I really appreciate that. And then just one last thing. I've been noticing a lot of use of pesticides around the island. I don't know if you had the same concern. It seems like everywhere I go now, I see where they've sprayed, and at one place it was right next to the water, where I'm sure it's getting in the water as well. I don't know if it's something that you've ever raised or discussed as a group, but when we get together, I'm really glad that you said invite all the teams. So I would be there for the Nature Conservancy is being on there.
Sure.
But if maybe that's something, one of the things that we can talk about.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you know, that's the other thing too, if you know that there are, you know, like pesticides that are being used near our waterways or something like, you know, let the township know, let us know, that's, you know, I mean, you know, people think, oh, that's just another form of pollution, right? If you're dumping, okay? So, you know, I know people that used to dump paint and, you know, oil-based paint into the sewers. It's like, hey, what, you know, stop.
Right into our drinking
What are you
water
doing?
and,
Yeah, exactly,
you know,
okay? So there's a
kills
whole,
fish.
but, you know, whole sensitive, you know, area or people are using, Roundup and it's right next to the, the drainage ditch or something. It's like, wait, stop.
A lot of Roundup, and we know that causes
Right.
cancer,
Yeah.
but everything else that it does. So maybe I'll take pictures when I notice it, but maybe that's also something we could put on the agenda when we all get together.
Absolutely,
Very much so.
yeah,
Okay.
Good.
And
Okay.
encroachment is another
Yeah, oh, yeah,
issue too.
absolutely.
yeah,
Okay.
on the
And,
14th.
And Carol, in November, I will be voting.
Thank you. Do you have anybody in mind?
Yeah, one person.
Yes, good.
Actually, a couple.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
I'd like to finish by making a point. Ms. Bartlett, you indicated that your husband saw a man with an axe over there engaged in the self-help. We have over 600 acres of open space greenways on Grosse Hill, and as many people as we have on this committee, it's the eyes and ears of the community. I'm sorry to say I don't get up to Voight that much, although it appears to be something in the water from what
Something
you've
going
described.
on.
Going on, okay.
I don't know what it is.
Take charge of that community, would you?
Yeah.
We'll find out what it is, but it is the members of the community that will go ahead and make a phone call, and it doesn't have to be confrontational.
Right.
Just make a phone call to the township offices, 676-4422. Margie is at extension 10.
Right.
Derek does extension 28. I think those are people that can go ahead and see that the right people are involved. Once you take a tree down, an oak tree, it might take 40 years or 50
get it
years
back.
for that to have approached any kind of height and to fill out. And it only takes a couple of minutes to have it destroyed. And I thank you and everybody else in the community that takes the time. 734-676-4422, extension 10 will get you to Margie, 28 is Derek, and they follow up on things.
Yeah,
So-
and the signs help us too, right? So we know what part of the property is theirs versus what part is open space. Because I know you have the open space signs in front on
Right.
Voight, but I don't know if there's one showing the division of property. So
Nope.
we weren't sure,
Generally not.
right, so we
Right.
weren't sure whose property it was.
But it's your help that makes enforcement all the more valuable and possible, frankly. So,
That's usually where I go running out there. My husband says, get back in the house, but,
Okay, keep running out, keep running out.
I will.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
again.
Anyone else? Well, looks like it's about maybe that time, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So moved,
Also
Mr.
moved.
Guy.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You'll be here alone. Okay, thank you again for coming. Good meeting. Okay, welcome. Come back. Good, thank you.